Okay, my name is Hannah Taylor, and I'm 18 years old, and this is my mom, Lori Taylor. And I just wanted to share a little bit about some of my previous life experiences and some of the things I've dealt with having a concussion. In January of 2013, I fell from a cheer accident and hit my head on the gym floor. That night, we didn't think anything of it. We just thought it was just a headache, or maybe I had a concussion. So we just kind of went along with it for about 2 weeks, and none of my symptoms were getting any better. They were getting worse. And we were searching, we were trying to figure out what was going on. Was I just going crazy? Was this a concussion? Was there something more to it? Mom, she shared with me afterwards. She was trying to figure out, was it just being a teenager, or was this something more serious? So after a few months, we ended up finding some different doctors up at the Shepherd Center in Atlanta, and they diagnosed me with PCS, which is post-concussive syndrome, and it's where the symptoms of a concussion last a little bit longer. There's not really a lot of information on it. There's no designated time for it to heal, but just sleep and rest is the biggest thing they encourage. It's not just headaches, it's a physical, a mental, and emotional strain, struggling with social problems, headaches, fatigue, depression, anxiety. Not being able to go out and do things with friends is hard. But over time it does get better, and you just have to keep reminding yourself about that, and with the right doctors and medications and family members around and friends and just all forms of encouragement, that can really help. And that's really one thing I encourage, is just finding that social group, that can sit there and help keep pushing you forward and reminding you that it will get better. And just be informed, do different researching online, and just talk to people. Don't be embarrassed about it. Don't be afraid to ask questions or share what you're going through, because if you don't share what you're going through, you won't find the answers that you're looking for and to know what's going on. And Mom wants to share too some about how she saw it in a different perspective.
So what we saw as a parent, we were looking, saw a child that had fallen from a cheer stunt. Your husband says, when I was in football, I got my bell rung. So we're thinking, just a little hit on the head. Noticed then that she was sleeping. She slept for several days. Did not even want to get up to eat. And then we tried to get her back into school. Saw a very big personality change. Mm-hmm. One of the big things that Hannah said to me that really clued me in that something was going on with her was when she said, I am not, she came home and she said, Mom, I am just not the same person I was. And my friends want me to do all these things, and I cannot do it and don't want to do it. And then another big thing that we noticed, and that's when I told my husband, is something's not right, is her room was quiet. Where you used to have a teenager that listened to music and you're always saying, turn down your music, and then we never heard any sound. The silence was a big key to us that there was something more going on. So, and then her separating from her friends, never wanting to go to movies. You took a child that her personality completely changed. She went from very engaged, very social, to staying in her room with the door closed, would not come down to eat, kept the lights turned off, and then slept all the time. Just fatigue was a very big thing. Mm-hmm. that we noticed, and went through various doctors. The first doctor that we went to, they did not really diagnose her correctly. They said, come back in 6 months if something is not better. And so we went on to the Shepherd Center and got more education from them, and still felt that there was still something we were not quite getting, because she was not getting independent after even a year. In 2 years, going into 2 years, we said, this is a child that now is graduated from college, high school, going into college, and doesn't have any independence. How are we going to get this child out on her own to be able to support herself? And so we have continued, and that's what I tell people, really pursue, get on the internet, That has been, there's support groups out there that support and educate. They're the ones that are going through it. And I got on again 2 years after the concussion and went to Gwinnett Concussion Center, found a neuropsychologist, which made a very big difference. Spent a lot of time with us, educating us, understanding that when you walk into that doctor's office, those lights, those fluorescent lights and sounds really set people off that have concussions. And so we noticed then that made a big difference for Hannah. First thing they had to do was get rid of the headaches, so they really addressed that with a neurologist. And now we do the physical therapy, the vestibular therapy, and occupational, and just it's a whole team of people working together. We're a little over 2 years into this now. There were 2 other concussions, and that's one of the big things they say is those secondary concussions are huge, that make a big difference. And so we're a little over 2 years into this, and the last 6 weeks since we've been at the Gwinnett Center has we've seen a big difference in the headaches. The headaches have started to not be as bad and more manageable, and then we can address the other things. So that's really about it. We're right in the middle of our journey, we feel like, and are much more hopeful than we were a year ago, and we'll continue on with where we're at. So.
And I think the biggest thing is just not to be discouraged. I have been in this for 2 years, and every day I wake up and I still struggle. I have a headache some days that I don't have others. Some days I want to go out with my friends, and other days I just want to stay home and stay in bed. But you just have to stay on top of it. You have to know that you're going to get better, and
be okay with adjusting your schedule.
Right,
to change plans.
How she was saying, I was very social. I cheered. I was at every football, every basketball game, every social event that I could go to, I was there. And I wasn't just sitting there like I was in the middle of the dance group. Prom was exciting. I was trying to go and do as much as I could. And then after this happened, I was like, I'm not where I used to be. I can't do those things anymore. So I used to push myself and really try to force myself to be that same person, but I wasn't. And just make modifications. Now I go to the games and I sit, not in the big group, but just with a few of my close friends, and still enjoy the game, still enjoy the activities and being with my friends. But and each day it gets better. It will get better, and I'm still learning that. It's not 100% yet, but I'm definitely not where I was 2 years ago.
What advice would you give another child that goes through this?
I would just say, learn, educate yourself on what you have. Don't sit there and read, like how long it'll take to get better. It won't ever get better, because every concussion, every brain injury is completely different from the other, and really it's just unique to that individual, and you have to figure out what your symptoms are, what things you need to work on, and what things you want to improve to be back to the person you were before.
I think we'd too say recognize that suicide is a big part of a concussion. It's very real, and you have to go to your parents and say, and Hannah did that to us one time. We were on a trip. I was on a trip, and she called me and said, I'm in trouble. Something's not right with me. I need help. And so speak up and understand that is a part of the concussion, is the suicidal and the depression. So reach out. Don't hold it inside, and don't think you're crazy.
Not only are your social, circumstances different from, your injury, but your emotional and your mental, circumstances are different. Your brain is made, the chemicals in it, those, you can't control them. They change, and from the head trauma, they can be thrown off balance. And I think, I was never depressed before, but after this, nothing happened, nothing triggered it. It was just, it just was a state that I went through. And, don't be afraid to tell your parents. There's nothing wrong with it, but you do need to get help for it, and, find out what's going on. And there are ways that you can be helped, and just knowing those different ways is really important.
And medication does help.
Yeah, a lot of people, you know, have not, they've just been like, you don't need medicine, you know, you should be able to fix it on your own. But going through it and knowing that I was not this way at one point and I am now, and seeing that medicine can get me back to the way I was, you know, I think it does work and it can help people.